So this section is about the choice of rotation styles. In this patch, in this version, the IC builds have a higher DPS compared with the fire builds. So we basically choose between the IC Thunder and the IC Note Melody. And for a practice dummy, like 5 minutes practice with full perception, the IC Thunder has a higher DPS, a slightly higher DPS compared with the IC Note Melody if you can play it very well. But personally, in most cases, in real combat in PvE, I prefer IC Note Melody and I recommend you more this style compared with IC Thunder for some reasons. Of course, first is that it is simpler, so it's easy to master. But there are also some more important reasons for me to choose it. Let me explain. First is the mana problem. As I talked about in the earlier sections, the Ice Thunder has a very high mana demand. So you might experience a mana shortage in combat. But the IC Note Melody has no such problem, because the Strings of Shang gives you a higher frequency of the note melody, so there is no mana problem. And based on this fact, the burst damage arrangements, or the rotation timeline arrangement of IC Note Melody style is more flexible. Because you can save your note melody, or save your thunder, or save your mirror heart for a while. This will lead to less mana restore, but for IC Note Melody it's no problem. So this flexibility can make you arrange your timeline more fitted into the boss timeline, like save your burst damage for a certain phase. That's quite important. This is the first reason. The second reason is that, as I said, the Ice Thunder has an additional active skill called the A directions, and the A directions have a very long redundant action time. You have to cancel it with your Desert Ice, or Gentle Thunder, or Rapturing Starfire. So these three skills should be used to cancel the action time of your 8 directions. But in real PvE combat, you might be very free to use these three skills. Like there might be some incoming mechanisms or boss abilities in the following seconds that requires you to save those abilities for some use. So you cannot cancel the action like freely. So this makes your DPS of IC Thunder in real battle maybe a little bit lower. The third reason is also very important. As we know, DPS is most important when you are first clear certain dungeon. And when you are farming, when your gears are higher, DPS does not matter too much then. And for the first clear, we mostly don't have a full perception rate. And for the IC Note Melody rotation, there is a higher proportion damage from the note melody, which has additional 10% of perception itself. So the low perception problem is less crucial, which means there is a slight advantage from the higher proportion of note melody damage for the IC Note Melody rotation. So these are some advantages of the IC Note Melody compared with IC Thunder. But still, for some real combat in PvE, for some bosses, when you can freely cancel the action of the 8 directions, and you're confident in your micro orbs for IC Thunder, and some of them I will introduce later in later sections, and there is no mana shortage, like it's better for you to choose the IC Thunder to get a better DPS. And finally, we still have to talk about the fire build. So when do we choose the fire build? It's when that the team needs a higher golden shield damage. If you are in real battle and check your DPS meter of the Smash Go share, you might find out that a very high proportion is from your Fire one or Ice one. And when you are choosing the Ice build, it's hard to make a decision to switch from 5 Spirit to Transience, cause there is a huge DPS sacrifice. But when you are choosing the Fire build, Its DPS is only slightly lower than the IC build, but you can choose the transients, which makes the number of hits of your Fire One dramatically increase. It will give you a very, very high smash gold rate. If your team need it, you can choose it. So based on this information, I guess you can make a very good choice of which rotation to play and which rotation to practice. So that's all for the rotation choice. In following videos, I might tell you some basic principle and some starting technique and some advanced skills of these 3 rotation styles. I guess I will start with the IC note melody, cause it is the simplest one for you to hands-on. And later I will talk about the other rotations if I have time, and I will possibly invite another bard player, Mountain, to tell you some experience about the IC Thunder, especially in the NA server when the splitting level is relatively low. So that's all for the rotation choice. Thank you for watching.